Mechanical. Now from the Northeast Georgia Health System studio in downtown Gainesville, here's Martha Zoller on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN. Always here, always local.
Well, the Hamas-run Palestinian Health Ministry says 350 people have been killed in the Gaza Strip since the October ceasefire went into effect. Is Israel still committed to abiding by the terms of the ceasefire?
Well, of course we're committed to abiding by the terms of the ceasefire. But, Christian, you just quoted the Gaza Health Ministry. I mean, that's like quoting, MS-13 Social Welfare Ministry. I mean, these people are terrorists.
It is the Martha Zoller Show, and, it is so interesting that they're still doing that. Yes, some people are still in harm's way in Gaza because they're not giving up in a lot of cases. And they're terrorists, if they're, but all in all, the ceasefire is holding, and there's one more set of remains that has to be returned before they've completed it. So, there's a lot to be done here, and we've made a lot of progress. It is the Martha Zoller Show. It's so great to be here. I'm going to start out a little bit local here today. This morning, I read the news that John F. Kennedy, who is the majority leader of the Georgia Senate, is resigning from the Senate to focus on running for lieutenant governor. That is now 4 in the recent history. Today, there's a special election for Marcus Wiedauer's seat. He has resigned in order to spend more time on his business. And that's usually the reason why we have people resign from the state legislature. But the special election is today, and Dutch Guest is the Republican in that race. He went to North Hall High School. He played football at Valdosta, and Kirby Smart was his assistant coach back in that day. So this will be a very low turnout election. It's over in parts of Oconee County and parts of Clark County, I believe is what that district is. It probably will stay Republican, but again, it costs the taxpayers money. Marjorie Taylor Greene, there has been a new election that's going to be done because she resigned. And there will probably be, because there'll be multiple candidates, an election and a runoff. Then there's qualifying. Then there'll be a primary and a runoff, and then a general election. So they're going to look at 5 elections in the 14th, probably from March until November. That's going to cost the taxpayers money. Jason Estevez on the Democratic side has resigned from his seat in the Senate so that he can run for governor. And then that's the short list there. Now, here's, the problem I have with that. One, it's in all these cases, it's a 2-year term. It's not that big of a deal to finish it. Number 2, you asked for this job. You campaigned for it. You raised money for it. You committed to your district that you were going to be in this position. In the case of Marjorie Taylor Greene, all she had to do was not qualify for the primary, and then she would just coast into the end of her term but not cost her taxpayers money. Same thing with John Kennedy. Same thing with Marcus Wiedauer. Same thing with Jason Estevez. Now, Marcus's situation, I don't know what the problem is with his business. It is hard taking time off from your business, and maybe he can't afford to stay in the state legislature. And to me, that is a more legitimate reason than just I'm running for a higher office, and so I need to be able to raise money during the legislative session, because that's what this is all about. So I did reach out to John Kennedy's team, and I told him I'd really like him to come on this week or next and talk about this. And here's what I said to him. I'm going to be very transparent. I won't be friendly, but I'll be fair, because I think it's a problem. And does that mean now, what are the other people? You've got Steve Gooch, who is a state senator. You got Blake Tillery, who's a state senator that's running. I think there may be more. So are they all going to resign too? And then we're going to have to do this all over the state? We're already in jeopardy of losing our majority in the House and the Senate, as well as federally, as well as putting this House and Senate in jeopardy. It just doesn't sit well with me. If you run for a term, you should finish that term unless there is some catastrophic thing that happens that you cannot finish the term. And, and I had this question when Johnny Isakson ran for re-election in 2016. I love Johnny. Okay, but my advice to him at that time was, take the whatever time you have left and spend it with your family. But he felt like he could get it through, that he was managing his Parkinson's disease. And then I believe, if I remember correctly, he was diagnosed with something else. And that's what ended up with him saying he had to leave the seat in the middle. But look at what that caused. So granted, you can't keep these things from happening, but, and you don't know what your health's going to bring from one day to the next. But if you are already sick when you run for a term, then maybe you shouldn't run for the next term. If you know you have higher aspirations, maybe you ought to finish that term out. I know what the problem is. The calendar is you'd have to wait 4 more years. If he finishes his term, and I'm using John Kennedy as an example here, then he's got to wait 4 more years to run for higher office because of the way they're staggered. I get that. I understand that. But you knew that when you ran for the seat to start off with. The calendar hasn't changed. So, I have a problem with it. So and they said that he's willing to come on. And really, he should answer the question with somebody like me that's going to be reasonable. I was in an establishment yesterday, and somebody heard my voice, and that can be good or bad when people recognize my voice. Mostly it's good. But she says, "Oh, I just love the way, even though you're conservative, you try to show all sides and to talk about all sides." And that's like the nicest compliment that you can pay me. That's the nicest compliment you can pay me. So anyway, lots to go here. You can join us on the phones at 770-535-2911. Let's go to the phones now and talk to Joe in LJ. Hey, Joe, how you doing?
Martha, doing great. Great show as always. Trump is starting his tour, around the country today in Pennsylvania, and I believe what will happen is I think he'll fire up the electorate, and I think his tour with the stock market hitting new highs, I think he'll continue to hit new highs, and I predict that the Republicans will win landslide elections because I think the stock market, which has hit at new highs since Trump's been in there, I think it will continue to hit new highs, and I think our theme song will be Happy Days Are Here Again. So I'm very optimistic about the Republicans winning the midterms and going on to even bigger victories in the future ahead, in the years ahead, because I think the stock market, and Trump uses that as a barometer. The stock market as to how well he's doing, and as you know, it's continuing to hit new highs, and I think it will continue to do so. So I'm extremely optimistic about the Republicans winning the midterms.
So, and, Joe, if you could
keep up your great work, always enjoy your show.
Joe, if you could sit down and talk to Donald Trump, what would you say to him? And would you give him any advice on how to kind of talk about the economy between now and the election?
Yeah, I would say to him, Martha, I say, Mr. Trump, President Trump, you're doing a great job. The stock market is reaching all-time highs. The American people, their 401ks are going to all-time highs. You're, in my opinion, the best president in history. I would just consider doing the same thing you've been doing. Tell the American people that they vote for you. They're going to get record-breaking stock market, a great economy. So I would tell him to keep on doing exactly what he's doing because, in my judgment, he's by far the best president in history, and he's the only president that judges his performance by the stock market. And I've got a lot of friends, and I'm sure you do too, that are invested in the stock market, and they're tickled to death with Trump's performance. So I would just say him to keep on keeping on, and I think we're going to win the midterms. And I think he's doing a great job. So I would just pat him on the back and say, go, President, go.
Okay. Thank you, Joe. Appreciate your call today. What I would say is a little bit different. I would say, I love what you're doing. Keep doing what you're doing. Be more like the guy you were in the cabinet meeting the other day and the guy you were at the Kennedy Center. Be positive and uplifting in your message. And I think this trip he's taking is going to be great because he's going to get to talk to real people that will tell him some of the things he doesn't want to hear. And that is that there are people like Joe and I who are in the stock market and who pretty much have set our retirement. We're doing great, okay? We're doing great. But then other people, young people that I talk to every day, Republican young people, do not see the changes as quickly as they would like to see them. And they're not in the stock market yet, or they're in it in a small way. And so they want to see something different. And I think he can do it. He's shown he can do it in the last week in 2 big examples. The cabinet meeting, he was funny. He was effusive. He stayed on point. He was good. And then you had the same thing with the Kennedy press conference and the clips I've seen from inside. He was engaging. He was positive. He was good. So we're going to take a break. And when we come back, we'll talk more with you.
Fuel our discussions with your opinions.
We need to talk about common sense here.
We're the station that gives you a voice.
It's my local station.
We're North Georgia's News Talk, AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
Building, moving, remodeling, they all create more waste than will fit in your average garbage can. Thank goodness for Waste Eliminator. They offer roll-off dumpsters in all sizes. Just visit wasteeliminator.com, click on Order Dumpster, and they'll deliver just what you need. From simple home cleanout to large commercial projects, Waste Eliminator handles it all. Schedule your roll-off dumpster today at wasteeliminator.com. Environmentally responsible and committed to customer service. It's Waste Eliminator.
Christmas is a season of giving. This is Mike Cormier, General Manager of Hardy Chevrolet. I know that giving is a challenge this year. That is why it's more important than ever. Hardy Chevrolet is a drop-off location for the Marine Corps Reserve's Toys for Tots program. Please come by and drop off a new unwrapped toy. With the help of local community agencies and churches, Marines will distribute them to needy children throughout our area. Help make this a Merry Christmas for all. And I'd like to extend best wishes of the season from all of us at Hardy Chevrolet, Brownsbridge Road in Gainesville.
You already know Gainesville Mechanical for their award-winning HVAC service, but did you know they handle plumbing too? Because plumbing problems never happen at a good time, you need a trusted, experienced team there when they do. From small leaks to major repairs, Gainesville Mechanical is here for you with 24/7 no overtime rates through their Customer Assurance Maintenance Plan. Proud to be named Best of Hall for HVAC and plumbing, Gainesville Mechanical and Bryant, doing whatever it takes to keep North Georgia cool since 1989.
Honey, that flu keeping you up? Did you take NyQuil Intense Flu?
Nah, I got this. Okay, I don't got this.
Yeah, you need NyQuil Intense Flu.
Undo your flu with NyQuil Intense Flu. NyQuil Intense Flu provides powerful relief of your flu symptoms so you can sleep.
You do got this.
NyQuil Intense Flu. The nighttime sniffling, aching fever. Best sleep with the flu. Medicine. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
This is the time of the year most of us are checking off our holiday gift list. Identity thieves have lists too, and your personal information might be on that list. Protect your identity with LifeLock. LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points every single second and alerts you to the threats you could miss yourself. If your identity is stolen, your own U.S.-based restoration specialist is going to work to fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Make this season about joy, not identity theft, with LifeLock. Save up to 40% off your first year at LifeLock.com with the promo code BECK. Terms apply.
Always here, always local.
From the Access WDUN Hardy Chevrolet Newsroom, police have now identified 2 people shot and killed in Gwinnett County late last week. Details at Access WDUN and coming up on North Georgia's News Talk.
It's the Martha Zoller Show, presented by Gainesville Mechanical. From the Northeast Georgia Health System studio in downtown Gainesville on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
And I just have a quick question. There's at least 20 House Republicans who have either said they're going to retire or not run again. Do you have any concerns about the
and Democrats
right.
also.
Do you have
well,
any
why don't you mention them? How many Democrats are going to retire? How many Democrats?
Well, that's what I was going to ask.
No, but why don't you tell me the number of Democrats too? You tell me
are you
about.
concerned about the narrow margins? And
no, I'm not concerned. I think we're going to do well. We will have the greatest economy.
Who you know as well, considering running.
We're going to have the greatest economy in history. How many Democrats are retiring? How come you only know the Republicans but not the Democrats?
Because I came prepared to ask you a question about.
No, you're unprepared because you should know the Democrats. You're totally unprepared.
It is the Martha Zoller Show. And I understand that question because there are a lot of people. I'm back. I'm about 95% today.
I was about to say we got some new cough drops at the break room, so I did see that.
I brought them in. That's right. So we're good. Sorry about that, folks. What she was asking is there's roughly about 20 Republicans that are retiring this year. Most of them are in safe districts. In fact, they're all in safe districts. So I don't think it's going to be a problem as far as that goes. Unfortunately, the way the maps are drawn, there's always only about 12 to 15 seats that are up for grabs. So we'll see what happens with that. And if what I think is going to happen is that both the California map, the new California map, and the new Texas map is going to be allowed by the Supreme Court. Because even though I don't like that they're doing this in between, I agree with you folks that it's bad form to be changing these districts in the middle of a census period. Okay, I agree with you about that, folks. But the fact of the matter is the Constitution, which is what the Supreme Court is supposed to be determining, what the Constitution says, is pretty clear that districts are political processes. And it doesn't say you only do it once in 10 years. So it's pretty clear that door is open and it's a political process. So I think what's going to happen is Texas is going to come in with the map they've redrawn, which will be +5 for Republicans if it's the way it's drawn. And Democrats, see, the thing about California is it's much harder for a state as blue as California is. California is bluer than Texas is red, okay? But it's interesting to see how those seats will actually be a plus for Democrats. But let's just assume it is. It'll be +5 for Republicans from Texas, +5 for Democrats in California. We're still got 12 to 15 seats that are going to decide where the House is unless one of two things happens, okay? One of two things happens. One, by the first quarter, the economy is moving. People are happy with the no taxes on tips. They're happy with the no taxes on overtime. They're happy with the other middle-class things that have been put in place that don't start until January 1st. And then you've got a number of things on the Democrat side that might happen that will make it more positive for them. And that means none of these economic things happen. And so we've got a situation where Democrats may do better or Republicans may do better. It's going to be a tight election. And what I'm really hoping is that when President Trump gets out this week, which I believe it's today, it might be tomorrow, that he gets around to a few places and he talks to some people that are supporters. Because I talk to these people. I know you talk to these people. You must have young people in your family that are Republicans, that vote Republican, but that have some concerns about interest rates and how slow they're going down, have some concerns about home prices, have some concerns about other things about their future. I think we see that. I mean, I know I'm not the only person that is hearing this from people. If you're not, then you're not talking to people, or you're only talking to people that agree with you. And you don't learn anything from that. So we'll see about how all this goes. But I do think he was right to bring up how many Democratic, if you're going to look at the Republicans, then you ought to be able to look at, you ought to be able to look at what happens with Democrat members. And I'm trying to find that, but I don't know if AI is going to have that right. I'll look at that during the break and see if we can get that. I used to be able to type and talk at the same time. I can't do that anymore, Logan. I can't type and talk at the same time.
I was about to say, I've been relegated on mornings on Main Street to our resident expert for just Googling stuff. So anytime we have something on the show, Bill always, hey, look something up here. So I'll type away, and I'm like, well, as I look for something, oh, here it is. And so that's been a new role I've gotten this year.
I love that. Well, you see if Grok can or whoever can find out what Democratic members of Congress have already said they're not coming back next year.
All right, I will look around.
How many? We'll see what happens. But it is roughly about 20 so far, the Republicans. And let's look. I'm not gonna give you sunshine and roses here. Okay, I'm gonna tell you the truth. If that number of Republicans is higher than Democrats, then that would indicate that they think they're going to lose this year. Okay, that would indicate that they think they're going to lose the House this year. And And we can't have that kind of negative attitude. We have got to get voters out. There's three things that Donald Trump needs to do. One, he's got to do his job as president and keep the promises that he has kept. And the two most popular things he has done since he came into office, this may surprise you, Logan, is the bombing of these drug boats. People love it. You know, some of the Democrats don't, but people, almost everybody you know has been touched in some way by fentanyl poisoning. And so when they announce that people have blown up a boat with fentanyl in it, they don't care whether maybe a few people got killed. They're glad the fentanyl got blown up.
Yeah, I see a lot more people praising that than denouncing it.
That's right.
And also just a quick Google search here, Martha. Looks like in total for both sides, it's going to be 48 members of Congress on both the House and the Senate have announced they're not going to seek re-election next year in 26. It's 21 Democratic, 27 Republican.
Oh, okay. So she was wrong. She said 20 Republicans. Now, this could be wrong, too, but that's close enough. So that's 48, which is 15%.
Roughly, I would say so.
435, that's like 11%. That's about 11%. So around 10% to 11% of the House of Representatives is going to retire. That's pretty big. There's going to be a lot of open seats. Now, that could be good for us. Now, the other thing, number two thing that people loved was, can you guess it?
Oh, I'm not sure. What is it?
The bombing of the Iranian nuclear facility.
Ah, okay.
So it's very interesting that people are complaining the most about the economy, but the two things they love the most that he did were foreign policy things. Number three was the deal between Israel and Gaza.
Okay.
And that's what people are really happy about. And he is, I mean, obviously, he's done a lot more on the foreign policy side than I think people thought that he would. But he's got to get this economy stuff under control to where other people besides him and Scott Bessent and Steve Moore and our friend Joe McCutcheon think it's good. I personally think the economy's good too, but I got to tell you, I got a 34-year-old daughter and a 37-year-old son-in-law that don't feel that way. And they're working hard and playing by the rules. And those are the people we got to win over. We'll be back.
Would you take advice on how to collect money from the folks that owe it to you? That's exactly what you do when you let an insurance company steer you to their contract shop. At Nichols Body Shop, we earn our customers one at a time. We depend on repeat customers and referrals to keep our shop busy. When you need a repair shop, please consider picking a shop that works for you. Nichols Body Shop in Flowery Branch, where the best sign of a quality repair is no sign at all. Find us on Facebook or call 770-967-8200.
Check your pockets and you'll find a quarter ready to inspire you to visit the state you find on the back. It's America the Great on a podcast called Quarter Miles Travel, from Virginia's historic sites to the wide open plains of Montana, the low country rhythms of coastal Georgia to the Blue Ridge Mountains of North Carolina. Explore America based on the U.S. Mint State Quarters. Hi, it's Anita with Travel with Anita and Friends. Quarter Miles Travel is all about pride in our states and our country. The natural beauty, the history, landmarks, and interesting people all make our country an exceptional place to visit. Go to my website, travelwithanita.com, where you will hear the podcast with stories told by historians and people who know the little-known facts. So come along, let's go on an adventure. Reach in your pocket and pull out that quarter. Flip it over, and Quarter Miles Travel will take it from there. We'll help you turn that quarter into an adventure.
We're heating things up this week with a Choice Sports Thursday. At 6 on AM 550, the Falcons travel to take on the Buccaneers. While at 7 on 94.5 FM, Gainesville travels to Rome for semifinal playoff action. The Falcons or the Elephants? This Thursday, it's up to you. Thanks to your home of Choice Sports. WDUN Gainesville, WDUN FM Clarksville, Gainesville. Always here, always local.
It's 9:30.
Fox
Fox News, I'm Therese Crowley. President Trump goes to the Poconos, Pennsylvania's Mount Airy Casino Resort. An early day off for local kids with an expected crush of traffic, as the president explains why his economic plan is the best bet to make America affordable again. Farmers thanking the president for a bridge payment to the spring crop season. $12 billion in farm aid to tide them through huge fertilizer hikes and a China trade freeze-out. Farmer Court Hollow tells the president.
The other day I was reading my little boy a story at night, putting him to bed, and he said, "Daddy, I don't want Santa Claus to come to our house for Christmas. I want President Trump."
And affordability in focus in Miami's close runoff election for mayor today, where voters haven't picked a Democrat for 30 years. Eileen Higgins versus Trump-backed Republican Emilio Gonzalez. America's listening to Fox News.
Always here, always local.
WDUN. From the Access WDUN Hardy Chevrolet Newsroom, I'm Steve Winslow. A proposed data center for Hall County may be getting tabled with commissioners again, as the Hall County Commissioners Monday met for their work session ahead of a Thursday voting session that was set to include a proposed 119-acre plot on O'Kelly Road off of Candler Road, southeast of Gainesville. However, District 3 Hall Commissioner Greg Poole says he plans to motion to table it again so that they can learn more about data centers from Associated County Commissioners of Georgia.
They're having a webinar with concerns, what they found, fact-finding, good, bad, indifferent, whatever it might be.
And if Poole's motion is successful, the data center vote would move to January of next year. Hall County Board of Education voted Monday to adopt a new policy regarding the use of personal electronic devices by students during the school day. More from WDUN's Logan Landers.
The changes to the policy are to comply with new legislation regarding phones in kindergarten through 8th grade classrooms. Updates prohibit elementary and middle school students from using devices throughout the school day, while high school students will only be able to use personal devices during class change or lunch periods.
The policy goes into effect next school year, and the dust has settled from Sunday afternoon's Christmas on Green Street festivities and parade, and now the awards have been handed out for Best Float and Best Antique Car during the Green Street celebration Sunday afternoon. The list of photos and complete winners list can be found with more news at Access WDUN. Now here's your Access WDUN weather forecast.
Some clouds, but we will see partial clearing into the afternoon. Highs in the mid-40s, partly cloudy skies this evening and overnight. Low 30s early Wednesday. From the Access WDUN Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Holly Strano.
In Lula, 37 degrees, Winder 38, and in Gainesville 36. From North Georgia's News Talk, AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
Hello, I'm Greg Beatles, president of your Atlanta Falcons and also proud supporter of Eagle Ranch. My family and the Falcons have been involved with the ranch for many years. Eagle Ranch has expanded its services to meet the increased needs in our community, to include outpatient counseling, a day school program, a residential program, and other therapeutic services that are both affordable and accessible. Learn more at eagleranch.org. That's eagleranch.org.
Magical Nights of Lights is back at Lanier Islands Resort. This season, let your holiday spirit shine as you drive through 6 miles of twinkling lights, from marching toy soldiers to brand new surprises like tailgating Santa and pickleball elves. Turn the magic into memories with overnight packages for the ultimate Christmas experience, featuring breakfast with Santa and elf tuck-ins that bring the wonder of the season to life. The lights are glowing, the joy is calling. It's time to celebrate at Lanier Islands Resort. Visit LanierIslands.com for reservations.
Use the Access WDUN Talk and Text line, presented by M&R Rental at 770-535-2911, and be part of the conversation. From the Northeast Georgia Health System studio in downtown Gainesville, it's the Martha Zoller Show on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
Dana P. Well, I do not applaud them for writing it 5 years late. In fact, I would like to join a class action refund lawsuit as a subscriber, because if it's all the news that's fit to print and they didn't see fit to print it until later, and now the way they print it is, it's almost worse. So they write a memo to Biden during the transition, during the campaign. It's like, well, you know, if we do this, this could really cause a problem. And now those very people who ignored the memo, including Biden, are now having this little butt-covering exercise in the New York Times saying, well, gosh, you know what? That really was bad, wasn't it?
It is the Martha Zoller Show. And yeah, the New York Times wrote, it was one of the biggest articles I've ever seen about how, this is my interpretation, they missed the problems with Joe Biden. So they are trying to butt cover. I love it when Dana Perino uses a bad word because she does it so rarely. Grover Norquist is joining me right now, and President Trump is going on a tour to talk about the economy like only he can. And I look forward to talking about that with him. Grover, thank you so much for being here today.
Hey, good to be with you. Thanks for having me on.
So I tell you what, give me your overview of what he needs to accomplish here, and then I want to tell you a few things I'm hearing from people that are talking to me about this.
Okay, well, just for starters, when we talk about affordability, there are two sides to that. One is how much do goods and services cost? How much does gasoline cost? How much does food cost? How much does housing cost? The other is how much are you earning? And under Biden, we saw inflation hit 9%. It was an average of about 5% during all 4 years, but it went up to 9%. And the cost of living compared to your wages, Americans lost $2,900 in purchasing power, meaning inflation was faster than wages, okay? That's in 4 years. You were poorer because of lower wages than you would hopefully have and higher inflation. Now, under President Trump's second term, he's been in for less than a year. Real wages have grown by $700. So things are more affordable, meaning you have more money on average than prices have gone up, $700. And it's expected to be about $1,200 when the first year ends. That's year one. Remember, the tax cuts being made permanent. The second year when the tax cuts were passed under Trump, you actually had increase in in people's income for a family of four of over 6%, okay, which was more than the Biden years, more than the Obama years in 1 year because of the tax cuts. We then got hit with COVID, which was no fun at all for the economy. But keep in mind the strength of those tax cuts and what they do in increasing your income. Not just people who get paid with tips. That's going to be a big increase in their income. But everyone saw their taxes go down.
Yeah, so I agree with you. I think we've made it about half, using your numbers, your rough numbers, we're about halfway back for the average person based on their income versus inflation to where they were at the beginning of and it was 9% 1 year and 8% the next year. And then, so we had 17% and the average was 5. So I get it. You're about halfway back. And do you think that's fair? We're about halfway back from between income and inflation to where we were?
Yeah, the challenge is once you have inflation, you never go back down.
That's right.
But
buying
we
power
are growing in
yes.
terms of purchasing power. How
yes.
much more are you making and how much do things cost? We are getting there. And we could make up maybe half of the damage Biden did in this year if trends continue. Yeah,
that's right. So that's what I was thinking too. And what I hear mainly, and I'm talking about Grover, Republicans that are in their 30s that I talk to, that they are still supportive of the president, but they're not feeling it yet. Okay, they still, even though they're seeing some of the things you're talking about, that it's people like you and me who are a little later in our careers where we've got investments and maybe we have a paid off house or maybe we're close to paying off our house. We are feeling it better than the people that are working and are our people. So I think it's really important, this tour he's going on, because nobody can sell this better than he can. And he's going to swing states, and I'm really excited to see that because I think he will hear some of these stories. And you know how he is. I mean, if he was fantastic in the cabinet meeting a few days ago, very engaging and funny. He was so funny at the Kennedy Center of what I've seen of it. I look forward to actually seeing the whole program when it's released later on in the month. But he was good in the press conference. He was engaging. He was affable. He used his sense of humor side. And I think that he'll do more of that. And I think this tour is right on what he's doing.
Yes, and both the president and the members of Congress need to spend the next months, the next year, talking about what the tax cut is.
Yes.
And what it's done for people. a lot of people don't realize the size of the tax cut because they haven't adjusted how much withholding they have. So they're going to get a bigger refund whether you're retired or do overtime or you get tips as part of your job. Also, if you have children, and everybody saw their standard deduction go up as well. So all of these things are adjusted. Taxes will go down. But I think the biggest changes are the reductions in regulatory costs. And that's going to take some time. First of all, it's kind of invisible. It was invisible when Biden and Obama put in these massive regulations. Everything slowed down. People go, why? What happened?
Yes.
Because you don't see them when regulatory burdens happen. You do with the regulations they threw on energy. You saw the price of gasoline go up. That's kind of the one thing that every main street you go down, you have a reminder every day of what Biden and Obama's war on energy, which is regulatory as well as taxes, meant to you in terms of taking money out of your pocket every single day that you lived or heated your house or air conditioned your house or drove a car or a truck. All of those things, the amount of deregulation that's going on, some of that's going to take a while to kick in, and we need to talk about it so people understand what it means. The next car you buy will be a lot less expensive because the Trump administration, the Republicans in Congress are undoing a lot of the regulatory burdens and mandates that said, no, you have to have cars that do these 27 things, all of which make your car more expensive.
So there's roughly about, last I looked, about 48 total of members of Congress that are saying they're not seeking re-election. There's a few more Republicans than Democrats, but it's about the same number of each. What does that tell you? And is that something you're concerned about as we go into the midterm election?
Well, you always worry when your team has people who are retiring because whoever it is, however much you like or don't like that congressman, he is the Republican candidate, he or she is the Republican candidate.
Incumbent.
And they have name ID. And it is expensive to get known. So the next candidate, unless they're famous because they're a football player or something, is going to have to spend $500,000 introducing himself or herself to and it just makes it more expensive to run. Incumbents always have the advantage of name ID, and if you're running as a Republican, you can run on the record that Republicans have built over years, being less taxes and less regulations, and trying to rein in spending. So, it's now to a certain extent, most Republicans are in running as the same candidate. Almost every Republican takes the taxpayer protection pledge that Americans for Tax Reform, the group that I run, shares with everybody. And so they run as, we're the Republicans, we won't raise your taxes. And that has been a tremendous advantage for Republicans. Before 1994, for 62 years, the Republicans only won Congress control of the House and Senate twice, once under Eisenhower, once under Truman. So we had a one-party state because Congress runs the country. Presidents are nice, but Congress decides whether taxes go up or down, spending goes up or down. Since 94, which is when 96% of Republicans said we're never raising taxes, and I signed it here and I put it in writing. Georgia governor's taken that pledge and kept it. A lot of state legislators, all the candidates from Georgia as congressmen, Republicans have taken that pledge and kept it. So that since then, the Republicans have won control of Congress 18 years, Democrats only 6. 3-1 Republicans control Congress since 1994, compared to 1 out of 15 years in the previous 62 years. So Republicans, I'm the Republican, I'm not going to raise your taxes. And there are other issues, but when you start with that one, it's allowed the Republicans to become the narrow majority party. They just need to add to those numbers.
Yeah, and I know there's been a lot of talk about what we have to do to maintain power, and we should do that. We got to get these voters out. We know it's going to be more challenging with President Trump not technically being on the ticket, all of that sort of thing. But the Democrats have got their own problems going on where they've got Chuck Schumer is a non-entity at this point in time. I know he thinks that if they win back the Senate, he's going to be the majority leader, but I don't think so. And they're also running bad candidates like Jasmine Crockett in Texas and other candidates around the country, the guy in Maine. So they've got their own issues to deal with too. I mean, we got to deal with ours, but they got their own.
Yes, and I think a lot of we've got a bunch of very serious candidates running for governor, for Senate, and the House members are not as well known, but they're good candidates running for Congress as well. It's going to be a big campaign, and we need to remind voters, because as you point out, one of the opponents that Republicans have running for office is the establishment press. The New York Times is still an active contributor to the modern Democratic Party by running stories that their point of view that they're now willing to admit that Biden knew the damage that he was going to do to the economy. They safely do that after Biden is a non-entity.
That's right. That's right.
Nobody reads a story about Biden's mistakes. He's not in control anymore. My favorite version of that was when President Obama said, Obamacare is going to be great. It'll drop your prices $2,400. Of course, cost of went up, almost doubled. The cost of health care has gone up because of Obamacare, and subsidies won't help that. They'll just hide it. They won't stop the costs from going up. But they almost that's the promise you could keep your doctor. That was the promise he made most often. And the Washington Post, which wouldn't talk about that while Obamacare was debated, the year after it passed, they said the biggest lie this year was that you could keep your doctor. So
that's right.
They wanted you to know that they were awake and noticed and that they would tell you what happened after it was too late to do anything about.
Absolutely. Grover Norquist, I appreciate you being with us, always laying out all this data. Folks, we got to work hard and we got to get out to vote. There's a special election today in Georgia for State House 121. We've got a number of people that have resigned, including Marjorie Taylor Greene, so you've got to pay attention to these elections that are coming up. That's a safe seat, Grover. I mean, a Republican's going to win that, but still, there's going to be 4 or 5 elections between now and November in that district. So we've got to make sure that for the ones that matter, which are the ones that happen in November, that people get out to vote.
Okay, and my suggestion on the replacement for Marjorie Taylor Greene, the person who promises that they will do what Marjorie Taylor Greene didn't do, turn out the Republican vote, not just for themselves, because it's a Republican district, and you could sleepwalk through and get elected. The problem is, of all the Republican turnout, the worst in the state is in her district, because she and others do not turn out the vote there. Whoever's running for Congress, the only thing I really want to hear him say is, I'll never raise your taxes, and I'm going to turn out the vote, not because I need it, but to elect 2 senators from Georgia. This is an embarrassment. Before I moved to the United States, I used to live in Massachusetts, so I know what it's like to have 2 Democratic senators. But it's not. But there's no excuse for Georgia, okay?
That's
there just
right.
isn't.
There
Massachusetts
isn't.
is.
I love that. Before I moved to the United States, I lived in Massachusetts. I love that.
I'm an immigrant. I wanted to be here in America. So.
That's right. Grover Norquist, thank you for being with us today.
Turn out.
Turn out. We'll take a break.
When it comes to where you get your news, what's important to you?
I want to hear news that doesn't take sides.
I want to hear clear reporting that's easy to understand.
Always here with the news you need. AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
Are you frustrated with your contacts? Have your glasses become more of a burden? Well, don't suffer. Hi, this is Kim. Here at Advanced Eye Center, we offer all laser LASIK to free your eyes. When you consider not only the amount of money you pay for all of that eye gear, but also the amount of time you spend handling contacts, glasses, cases, solution, and eye drops, how can you not afford to have LASIK? Invest in you. Save your money. Save your time at Advanced Eye Center. Vision correction for all ages.
Thanks to your generous support, Georgia Mountain Food Bank with our pantry partners have been able to provide over 700,000 nutritious meals each month to families in our community. This year, we have seen the need for food assistance grow exponentially. You can feed hope by filling plates this holiday season by giving to the Georgia Mountain Food Bank. And thanks to a generous matching gift from Milton Martin Toyota, every dollar you donate will be doubled, providing even more meals to neighbors who are struggling to put food on the table. Give today or learn how you can invest in our community at gmfb.org.
Whether it's a slip that ends in a slip disc, a trick knee that's holding you back, or shoulder pain hurting your game, you can count on Northside Hospital Orthopedics. With leading care in Georgia at convenient locations all across the state, we're here to get you back on your feet, no matter what comes your way. Because Georgia moves us, and we keep Georgia moving. Find a provider near you at northside.com/ortho. That's northside.com/ORTHO.
You've got meals to plan, children to ferry from practice to ball games, shopping and dusting, and good grief. Give yourself a break and take your laundry to Townview Coin Laundry. Take your comforters, quilts, blankets, and mattress covers. They'll wash, dry, and fold your laundry, or you can use their industrial-sized machines. Townview Coin Laundry saves wear and tear on your washer and dryer and on you too. Get the stains out at Townview Coin Laundry at the corner of Bradford Street and College Avenue in downtown Gainesville, open from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m.
Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to all our friends and family of Hayes Chevrolet Buick GMC Cadillac of Baldwin. It's model year closeout and Santa's got some deals over at Hayes. How about new 2025 Sierras up to $12,000 off MSRP with trade assistance, and new 2025 Suburban High Countries up to $10,000 off MSRP, and new 2025 GMC Acadias up to $4,000 off MSRP, and 1.9% finance for up to 36 months. Stop in at Hayes Chevrolet Buick GMC Cadillac in Baldwin.
Always here, always local.
From the Access WDUN Hardy Chevrolet Newsroom, a proposed data center's future motion for vote Thursday by the Hall County Commission might be tabled once again. Details at Access WDUN, and coming up on North Georgia's News Talk.
It's the Martha Zoller Show, presented by Gainesville Mechanical, from the Northeast Georgia Health System studio in downtown Gainesville on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
It's just funny how the news works. Because Bill Clinton, wrote a letter to, Jeffrey Epstein as well for his birthday, but nobody's talking about that. Mm-hmm. And Jeffrey Epstein had a picture of Bill Clinton in a dress and high heels, in his New York mansion, but nobody's talking about that. My thing is this. I don't care who's on the list. Everybody got to go. Mm-hmm. Burn it all down. Yeah. Like, that's just simple as that. Mutually assured destruction. Whoever's on that list need to go. Nobody needs to be protecting pedophiles. I don't care what party they are.
No, period. And, to that point, though, Clinton is not the president right now. If he was, you'd think that, anyways, yeah, I think he would still be under scrutiny if he was the president right now.
No, he wouldn't, because liberal media wouldn't push the issue.
It is the Martha Zoller Show, and Charlemagne the God is right about that, because Jeffrey Epstein first came to notice of people with his 2009 convicted, I think in 2009, I may have it, but it was in that mid-aughts is what they call them. The 09s, 06, 05, 04, in that area. And Clinton, had just been the president. Obama was going to be the president. There's never been a mention of George Bush being on that list. And these guys, were on this list. And this stuff was buried for years. Now, vote. They had the vote. They've got 30 days in order to release everything. I guess we're about midpoint of that 30 days. We haven't heard a word about it, Logan. Haven't heard a word about it since the vote was taken. And, I hope it doesn't get buried again, because I don't agree with Charlemagne the God on many things, but I don't care who's on the list. I want them all buried.
It's kind of a going ebb and flow, right? It's whenever, Trump came in, it's like, okay, that's, you heard a lot about that, and then it kind of got buried for a while, and then it came back up here recently, and then it's buried once again. So it's just ebb and flow of the media.
Trump's thought process is that there are innocent people in those grand jury testimonies that may have just witnessed things that they didn't think of much at the time, but then they put two and two together, and then they ended up testifying in the grand jury. And he doesn't want those people to be dragged through the mud, because you know what happens once your name gets out on something like this, then people start assuming things about you. And maybe I've been watching too much Forensic Files, but there's a lot of crazy things that happen. So I haven't forgotten it. I'm looking for it. I'm counting the 30 days down. We're about in the middle of that. I expect for it to be out, but think about when they're planning for it to come out, like right when everybody's on Christmas holidays. So it does seem like they're trying to bury it, and we'll just see what happens. Now, poor old Joe Biden went to speak at some fringe dinner that I'm sure he got paid to do, and here's what he said.
We just have to get up. As long as we keep the faith, summon hope, and get back up and remember who in the hell we are. We're the United States of America. That's who we are. We're the U.S. And there's nothing. Now,
I don't know what happened, and if you watch the video, Logan, he took on this like Jim Carrey, the mask face, right before he said it. But he said Amerigata for some reason. I don't know.
I don't know if he was maybe going for like Americana, maybe, but still that wouldn't have made a whole lot of sense.
United States of Americana, maybe. I don't know.
It would have been a little bit closer, but no, just missed the mark on that one, Joe.
Yeah, I think that, look, he shouldn't need the money. I don't understand this not ever wanting to retire. Okay, I can see it's just a pin light, but I can see a little pin light that at some point in time, it's not going to be before the end of next year. It might be the end of the following year. I might stay till 28, but at some point in time, I'm going to not want to do this on an everyday basis. Some people say I'm not doing it on an everyday basis now because I will be out on Thursday for the school board. I've got some other trips coming on next week. Tom and I are getting together on next week to go through the calendar and see what days he's going to do, what days I'm going to do. And he fills in for me. And I'm really excited that John Clark, who has been a long time fill-in for me, that several years ago had a stroke, and now he's back 100%, so I need a little bit of a backup. We're going to have Butch Miller filling in next Tuesday because my son-in-law is graduating, and I couldn't tell Kennesaw State University to have their graduation after 11 o'clock because for some reason they always do it 10 o'clock. Seems like college graduations are 10 o'clock usually.
I think so. Mine was during COVID, so everything was thrown off for a loop. Mine was kind of towards the afternoon. Mine was maybe 3, 4 o'clock.
Okay.
I was a little bit later.
Well, I know some of the big colleges, which of course Kennesaw is, that they have like stacked ones.
Yep,
they have the big one, but then each of the schools. And what my kids did is my son Mark did the big one because he worked really hard to get out of Georgia Tech, and so he did the big one. But my other kids did like their school graduations, the college they were in, which was smaller, and they would actually call your name, and all that kind of stuff. So it was it was a different kind of thing. And I got to tell you the truth here, folks. I didn't walk in my high school graduation because I had skipped my senior year and went to college. I didn't walk in my college graduation because I graduated early. I was in a hurry, okay? And then my master's degree graduation, I filled out the forms right and didn't get to go. Wrong, and I didn't get to go. So maybe I was having a senior moment. We'll be back on the Martha Zoller Show.
When you have a problem with your roof, you want someone who can respond quickly, but also who knows roofing. That's what you get at Georgia Select Roofing. This is Chris Earls, and we do roofing right. Estimates are free, we can help you navigate your insurance claim, and we also offer financing. Check out our Google reviews, and you'll see that Georgia Select Roofing offers the best service around. See us today at georgiaselectroofing.com or call us at 678-316-6899. Family owned and operated, Georgia Select Roofing has you covered.
If a Lenovo computer for your business is on your holiday list, don't shop around. Just go directly to the source, Lenovo.com. It's your last chance to get exclusive deals on the PCs you want for your business, like the ThinkPad X9 14 Aura Edition and Yoga 7i 2-in-1. So avoid all that shopping chaos and price comparing, and just go directly to the source, Lenovo.com, where PCs are up to 35% off. That's Lenovo.com.
Lenovo.
Hey, can you blow up some balloons for Jack's party?
I can't. I'm so congested.
You need Sinex Saline from Vicks.
Sinex Saline nasal spray?
Yeah, just Sinex. Breathe.
Sinex Saline instantly clears everyday congestion associated with colds and year-round allergies with a gentle, ultra-fine mist that's no mess and easy to control.
Daddy, we need more balloons.
On it.
Enjoy life's important moments without congestion. Try Sinex Saline from Vicks. Just Sinex. Breathe. Use as directed.
WDUN Gainesville, WDUN FM Clarksville, Gainesville. Always here, always local.
It's 10 o'clock.
The answer is still no. I'm Chris Foster, Fox News. Ukraine's President Zelensky again says he cannot cede territory to Russia, and that's part of President Trump's peace plan. He says Zelensky's going to have to start making concessions. He's losing.
It would be nice if he would read it. A lot of people are dying, so it would be really good if he'd read it. His people loved the proposal. They really liked it. His lieutenants, his top people, they liked it. but they said he hasn't read it yet.
The president, in an interview with Politico, he heads to Pennsylvania today for a speech about the economy and bringing down prices.
The president's kicking off what's expected to be the first of many public events highlighting how they're handling the U.S. economy. On Monday, the president announcing U.S. farmers are going to get a $12 billion package, essentially one-time checks to assist them during what's been a rough year. You remember China temporarily stopped buying U.S. soybeans. That created huge problems for many people in the heartland, but Democrats say it's all Trump's fault. Tonight, the president expected to focus more on where prices have stabilized or even dropped. The latest gas price data from AAA shows the current average nationally at $2.94 a gallon. 1 year ago, it was just above $3.01, but way down from where we were in the records back in 2022.
Fox's Mark Meredith at the White House. The Senate will be taking up a plan to extend Affordable Care Act subsidies expiring at the end of the month.
Senate Democrats want an automatic 3-year renewal of Obamacare credits. A test vote comes Thursday, but some conservatives oppose re-upping any of the aid. Republicans have decried the Democrats' plan as a messaging bill which will not pass. But Democrats say Republicans lack agreement on their own plan. Republicans are mulling a host of plans, but the GOP hints it might not even vote on a Republican option.
Fox's Chad Pergam at the Capitol. A federal judge tells the Justice Department it may release investigative materials from a sex trafficking case against convicted Jeffrey Epstein accomplice Ghislaine Maxwell. America's listening to Fox News.
Always here, always local.
From the Access WDUN Hardy Chevrolet Newsroom, I'm Steve Winslow. A proposed data center for Hall County may be getting tabled again. That comes after District 3 Commissioner Greg Poole Monday said he wants to learn more about data centers before a vote is taken.
District 3 Commissioner has not reached out to us directly with any questions, concerns, to talk, to discuss any of the items.
That is one of the developers, Cameron Grogan, talking to Access WDUN Monday after the work session meeting. Now, if Commissioner Poole's motion is successful, the data center vote would not take place until at least January of next year. Hall County Board of Education voted to adopt a new policy regarding the use of personal electronic devices by students during the school day. WDUN's William Daughtry has the updates.
The changes to the policy are to comply with new legislation regarding phones in kindergarten through 8th grade classrooms. Updates prohibit elementary and middle school students from using devices throughout the school day, while high school students will only be able to use personal devices during class change or lunch periods. The policy goes into effect next school year. Guidelines to follow the policy are expected to be released in March.
The Lumpkin County Sheriff's Office is reminding drivers that increased traffic is expected near the University of North Georgia's Dahlonega campus due to upcoming commencement ceremonies and basketball games. The agency says that thousands are expected in the area between today and tomorrow. A schedule for the events can be found at Access WDUN. And Northeast Georgia Physicians Group has moved its urgent care in Toccoa to an all-new location. More from WDUN's Lawson Smith.
The urgent care moved from the Medical Plaza on Big A Road to the new space at 274 Big A Road. The new facility features larger exam rooms, a larger waiting area, and upgraded x-ray capabilities. The new location accepts patients of all ages, including newborns. The urgent care is open from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. To learn more, visit Access WDUN.
And more than 150 entries took part in the stroll down Green Street in Gainesville Sunday for the annual Christmas on Green Street festivities, with the top 3 awards for Best Float and Best Antique Car chosen by the panel. A link to the photos and complete list of winners can be found with more news at Access WDUN. Now here's your Access WDUN forecast from meteorologist Holly Strano.
Great Tuesday morning to you, North Georgia. We've got some clouds, but we will see partial clearing into the afternoon. Highs in the mid-40s, partly cloudy skies as we head into this evening and overnight. Low 30s by early Wednesday. From the Access WDUN Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Holly Strano.
In Cornelia, 36 degrees. In Young Harris, 33. And in Gainesville, 37. From North Georgia's News Talk, AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
Christmas is such a joyful season, but with all the cleaning, cooking, and planning, joyful can turn to stressful. So leave the cooking to Loretta's Country Kitchen. This is Grant Nichols, and at Loretta's, we can cater all your holiday gatherings at home or at the office. Call us at 770-535-0703 to place your order for pickup on Tuesday the 23rd. Be sure to check out Loretta'sCountryKitchen.com for complete details. And don't forget, we're now open for breakfast and lunch on Saturdays at Loretta's, Monday Mow Road, Oakwood, where it's all good.
Winter's here, and it's time to prep your equipment for the cold season with Kawasaki Genuine Parts, the parts that keep your machines running strong all year long. From changing air filters to replacing spark plugs or getting ahead of the spring maintenance, Kawasaki delivers the performance your engines were built for. Find them today at Howard Brothers. They have the know-how and parts you need when you need it. Get winter ready. Trust Kawasaki and Howard Brothers for the right parts and the best service.
Talking about the issues that affect you most. It's the Martha Zoller Show, presented by Gainesville Mechanical. Now from the Northeast Georgia Health System Studio in downtown Gainesville, here's Martha Zoller on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN. Always here, always local.
I've talked to several state and local officials who've said that the number of Somali immigrants who are living in the U.S. illegally there is very, very small, and that this is about scaring people more than it is about arresting criminals. So what have you actually accomplished with this operation so far in Minnesota?
Well, we're just starting, and I disagree with the fact that people, even we don't know how many illegal Somalis there are, because remember, in the last 4 years in Joe Biden, there's over 2 million gotaways. Known gotaways, people caught on video, drone traffic or sensor traffic that crossed the border illegally and weren't apprehended, weren't vetted. And so, what President Trump's doing is fixing the last 4 years of the open border where millions of people are released in this country, many we don't know who they are. So we're going to do the same thing in the Twin Cities we've done across the nation. We're going to focus on those illegal alien public safety threats in these cities. And if they weren't a sanctuary city, many of these people would be apprehended in the safety and security of the county jail. But because they're a sanctuary city, we got to send more resources there to flood the zone, because it takes a whole team to find somebody in the community where it would take one agent to arrest one bad guy in a county jail. So this is exactly what President Trump promised American people were going to do, and that's what we're doing.
It is the Martha Zoller Show, and that's Tom Homan, who, you got to give him credit. He's willing to go anywhere to answer any question. And he's right. I mean, they're wanting to focus on, they can't stand the fact that the border's been secured. They can't stand the fact that now we're gonna do what the Biden administration didn't do, which the Biden administration allowed people to come in with no vetting. There were 2 million gotaways, and who knows whether that number is right. That's 2 million people that they saw that they couldn't get to, that they counted up every day. But how many people maybe they didn't see and got through? And, they want to focus. And when I say they, I mean people that want open borders and unbridled immigration. They want to be able to not check into people's backgrounds. They want to assume that everybody that wants to come here just wants a better life. And I think a lot of people who come here want to have a better life. And I do think that if you're looking at people that have been here for 25 years, that maybe has not had any interaction with the law other than coming across the border illegally. I do agree with Newt Gingrich. I don't know if he still feels this way, but when he ran for office in 2012, he said you got to look at people based on what they've done since they've been here. There are people that have built an entire life here that, yes, came here illegally initially, okay? But they have lived by our rules. They have assimilated into our society, and they've gone through. They're trying to make assimilation a dirty word, too. That if you come here, I heard Ilhan Omar say something like, why would we want to assimilate into this horrible culture? Well, then why did you come here? And if you look at her background, she came from a warlord background. Her family were a bunch of warlords. What do you think that you are going to get there? And I think that you've got to have legal immigration. And now that we've gotten the border controlled, now we're working on the interior. And I think they are focusing, the numbers I have seen, is they are focusing on people that have come in the last 4 years as opposed to just people with deportation orders. So they're doing deportation orders. It's around 60,000 children that have been found that were lost in the system. And that, who knows what happened to them, but that number's up to 60,000 of the 300,000 that were missing. We still have a long way to go there, and they're working on that. They're working on people that have deportation orders and also have charges or convictions of crimes. And the immigrant population does not have the same due process that you and I do as American citizens. They just do not. Due process means just that. Due process afforded to whatever your status might be. If you're an American citizen, there's a level of due process. If you are a green card holder, there's a level of due process. If you are a illegal immigrant that hasn't committed a crime other than coming in illegally, you have a certain level of due process. But if you're an illegal immigrant that has been charged with a felony, convicted of a felony, has a deportation order, you also have due process, but there's a different level of due process. What the left wants you to believe is that they love to throw that due process around, that the assumption is it's the same. Whether you're George Clooney, who spoke out against it some time ago, who admitted that his wife helped to draw up the Constitution of the Muslim Brotherhood, as if he was something he was proud of. Okay? So whether you're George Clooney or Martha Zoller, who was born in America, you have a different level of due process than someone else that was not born in America. And the assimilation issue has to be discussed, because assimilation doesn't mean you give up your culture. I mean, heck, you go to every big city in America and there's a Chinatown and there's a Little Italy and there's a Germantown and there's places where culture's there. We love the food. We love the people. We love all of the things. But there is also an assimilation you have to happen. You can't live by yourselves, and you can't live the way you did when you were back home, because you should have stayed home rather than come here. So that's where we have to be on immigration. But it's nuanced, folks. It's not something you can just say, throw them all out. You can't do that. You've got to be more nuanced than that. And I think, like I said, I don't know if Newt Gingrich still feels this way, but he was right. That there ought to have been, you ought to get out anybody who's here illegally. You got to get anybody that's crossed the border. But of people that have been here and built a life and have been here 10 years, 15 years, 20, 25, you're going to have to look at those families individually. And if we'd started it back in 2012 when Newt Gingrich was talking about it, we'd probably be done by now. It's because we keep putting these difficult discussions off because we would rather tell people how terrible they are than solve a problem. I get a pretty diverse feed on my X account because I follow Democrats, Republicans. I follow everybody because I want to see everything. And it's amazing what some of these progressives are saying about our country. And look, close your eyes, not if you're driving, close your eyes and imagine a world without the United States in it. It would be a very dark place. We have our faults, our problems, but the world would not be better off without the United States in it. I do believe we have a manifest destiny. I do believe we have things that we were meant to do in this world, and that's why we came about. I was watching a documentary last night about some of the history of English villages that have been around longer than most countries, and so they got into some of the history of the area and things that happened. A lot of people are counting the UK out right now. A lot of people are counting Europe out. You're seeing a lot of that conversation coming out of our own world, but we'll have to keep talking about it. We'll take a break, and then when we get back.
Everyone wants to live a rich life, especially in retirement. Join Rich Life advisor Bo Henderson for the Rich Life Retirement Show, where the math shows you the path. Sundays at 12:35 on WDUN.
This is Mark Turner with Select Pest Control, and my grandkids want to tell you a story.
'Twas the night before Christmas, went all through the house. Not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse. 'Cause they called Select Pest Control, duh. Select Pest Control wants to wish you Merry Christmas.
If you want to have a pest-free Christmas, give Select Pest Control a call at 770-536-8837. And Merry Christmas.
North Georgia Land Trust. Is that what they call it, Brent?
Count, that's it.
35 years of commercial real estate, but I've always wanted to start a new land trust for North Georgia, a place where landowners can create a legacy for their land.
Everybody, we got Brent Hoffman in the studio today, and golly, Pete, this is interesting.
Well, thank you.
And all they have to do is communicate with you, right?
Just maybe go to our website, northgeorgialandtrust.org. Easy to find my phone number. Love to talk to you if you'd like to set aside land for future generations.
Well, tell me how you met Electronic Sales Company.
Paul and I have been a customer of yours for 34 years. It makes my wife feel good, the fact that we have a monitored alarm system, and you guys have done truly a good job.
Hey, folks, and if you're looking for what Brent's been experiencing for 30 plus years, call us at 770-532-3334. Also, we can be found on the website electronicsalesco.com.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. Maybe you haven't heard about us. We're not one of the big guys. Truth is, we don't want to be. If you're over 50, Big Wireless has you paying for more data than you might need. Why? They might want you to cover the costs of younger people who do use all that data. If you're not using the data, you're probably being used. We've heard time and time again that some Big Wireless customers get stuck paying hundreds and even thousands more for years and years because they think it's hard to switch. Not with us. It takes just about 20 minutes and you can change your plan anytime without extra charges. We use the same towers as the big guys, so you'll get the same fast nationwide coverage without the Big Wireless bill.
Our plans start at just $20 a month, and for a limited time, switch and get your second month free. Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit consumercellular.com or a store near you and get your second month free today. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional details.
Always here, always local.
From the Access WDUN Hardy Chevrolet Newsroom, Hall County School Board has voted this week to update policies for student use of personal electronic devices. Details at Access WDUN and coming up on North Georgia's News Talk.
Use the Access WDUN Talk and Text line, presented by M&R Rental at 770-535-2911, and be part of the conversation. From the Northeast Georgia Health System studio in downtown Gainesville, it's the Martha Zoller Show on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
Well, first of all, Republicans don't believe in inflicting pain on people the way Democrats do. Democrats shut down the government and deliberately inflicted pain on federal workers, our military, and other people. That's their plan. The Republican plan is to try to make lives better. So that's number one. So when you ask, is health care going to be a winning issue? Look, it's a Democrat bill. We live under the Obamacare regime. We live under the Obamacare subsidy plan, subsidies needed for a bill that wasn't working, and the Democratic plan to sunset those subsidies. It's all their plan. I don't know how it's going to shake out this week. I know House Speaker Johnson says they're going to unveil a bill in the House. There's going to be this vote in the Senate. I don't ultimately know how it's going to shake out. I can't tell you. There is some conservative resistance to simply continuing to pay health insurance companies that do nothing for their consumers except raise premiums and raise deductibles and continue to give you products that you don't feel like you can use or don't really function like insurance at all. So
it is the Martha Zoller Show. And I'm going to throw this in there. They won't negotiate with a healthcare system that provides healthcare to a large area. And, you know, I'm talking about Northeast Georgia Health Systems and United Healthcare. I mean, they are trying. Northeast Georgia Health System has done everything they could to make a deal with them. They're not asking for any more than what they've had in the past. And it's ridiculous what happens. You know, we have a fantastic health system that you know, tries to do the right thing by people, and you got insurance companies that are going to try to make them pay even more. And it's just wrong. It's just wrong. So we got several text messages. It says, why do Norquist and others focus on the keep your doctor's quote? I'm much more disturbed at the cost of health care. Well, he said that as well as a plan, but it was the point he was making was not about the keep your doctor's quote. It was the fact that they didn't acknowledge, the mainstream media did not acknowledge the keep your doctor's quote until after Obama was already out of office, that it was the biggest lie that was told in that particular year. So that's what he was talking about. But I hear you on that. The cost of health care has not stayed lower. Here's what's happened. Around 20 million more people are insured on the ACA than were insured before, which is good. But they are paying 3 times as much as they were 15 years ago for the same coverage. Now, what I think it ought to be is we need to get the cost of basic health care down. And I don't know how to do that. I mean, I've got a few ideas, but that's got to be down. And I think we need to go back to just coverage for catastrophic plans where because really it's kind of like with your car. You pay for your oil change. You pay for, other minor repairs to your car and sometimes major repairs to your car. But if you have an accident where you got $10,000 worth of damage, then your insurance kicks in. That's why you have a deductible. But it's got to be a reasonable deductible. So we've got a lot of work to do on healthcare. I agree with you. Now, Todd said, yes, my IRA is up, but cost of living isn't way down across the board. Some things are down and others are up. And my spending, it's a wash. Some staples like eggs are way down from highs, but OJ is up and the container is smaller. Coffee and bread are up. Meat slightly higher unless it's on sale. And even then, it's not a bargain. All insurances are higher, and because of the ongoing overvalued real estate, property taxes are higher. I see no reduction in basic home goods retail. I own a few vehicles, and I do all the maintenance. All cost is higher, especially tires. I don't even consider looking at a new vehicle or even newer used vehicle because I see them as extremely overvalued. A lot of this on the consumers is using credit cards to keep going, living beyond their means. Look at credit card debt. Stop buying stuff and prices drop. You know what? He's right there. If you stop buying stuff, the prices will go down. People aren't slowing down on spending money. Now, we got another text that said, Martha, didn't we have a reset back in the mid-'70s for immigrants who came here illegally? Now we're in the same position. It's time to do that again for people who came here illegally, ? We are still a land of laws, aren't we? We should be. And that was 86 that we did that reset. We gave amnesty to 3 million illegal immigrants in exchange for, some changes in the immigration laws. So that was in 1986. Maybe it happened in the 70s also, but I was not aware of that. So you can join us on the phones at 770-535-2911. So there's more and more people out there, and by people I mean entertainers, that are saying they don't want you to come to their concerts if you are a Trump supporter, which I think is so stupid. Who do you care? Why do you care who supports you? Who someone supports that's buying a ticket to your concert? All you should want is somebody to buy a ticket to your concert, especially when you're talking about half the population here, a little more than half the population. So, folks, you guys think you're too important. I want everybody to listen to me. I especially want people who disagree with me to listen to me, because what I hope I'm projecting out here is, hey, this is a person I could have a conversation with. She doesn't agree with me. If I had a nickel for every time somebody said, I don't agree with anything you say, but I like the way you say it, then I could, I would have a lot of money if that were the case. I love it, that phrase, if I had a nickel. That's been probably around. That came about because of this thing that they used to have called the Nickelodeons. Now, when you say Nickelodeon today, people like Logan think it's the TV station Nickelodeon.
That's what I grew up on.
That's right. So Nickelodeon is before there were movie theaters, or around the time movie theaters were first being built, there were these, I don't know if you ever made one of these in school, where you take a picture and you move the picture. It's kind of like animation.
Yes.
And then you flip it. And you flap through all the things and you see the thing move. Well, that's what a Nickelodeon is. It's like a movie that's done on cards like that. And in the old days, you put a nickel in. I'm even too old. I'm even too young for that, because this was like in the 1890s, 1900. Put another nickel in the Nickelodeon. You put the nickel in and you flip the thing around, and then you see a movie.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking about that now. That's probably where they got their name from. Just going back in time with it.
Yeah, because it wasn't too old and it sounded fun.
It does sound, yeah.
It's a fun word, Nickelodeon, and they're still around. I watch Nick at Night pretty often.
Yeah, they're still going on. I don't watch a whole lot of it now, but I'll see it.
Are they affiliated with anybody? Are they by themselves? Are they NBC or something like that?
I believe they're with Paramount.
Oh, okay.
They have a working relationship with them, and also, Martha just talked about streaming rights. That big deal that broke earlier this week with Netflix and Warner Brothers. I mean, that was $800 billion, some insane amount of money A lot of franchises, a lot of IPs, or I don't know if they're going to move over to Netflix or what's going to happen. But for the media world, that's the biggest news for probably for the year, with the announcement of all that, with all the money just being thrown around with that.
Yeah, that's crazy. And the president even commented on this, saying that he was going to be involved in this decision. It's a big, big decision.
Yeah, it is. It's huge.
And I'm not Netflix anymore. You know what I mean? I don't do that, but I do have Paramount Plus.
So I have Netflix, but what I've realized too, and I'm sure a lot of our listening audience, if they have these services, is there is Hulu, and Hulu's still around as far as I know, but Hulu is in a working relationship with Disney. So if you go on Disney Plus, you can see that there's shows that are Hulu exclusive that you don't think are they're nowhere they should be nowhere near the kind of Disney umbrella when you think of that company. With live action shows and some of the more kind of adult themes that you can see. But of course, you can always use the parental controls to help out the little ones with that. But it's still odd to see if I'm on if I'm on Disney Plus and I see like Family Guy or some other adult animation or shows on. I'm like, wait a minute, this is on Disney. What's going on here?
Well, it's funny on the broadcast side or cable side, whatever you want to call it. Friends is on like every night on Nick at Night.
It is,
okay?
Yep, still is.
And they tried to take it off when it all went to HBO. All the Friends stuff went to HBO, and they had such a huge mutiny that somehow they were able to get it back. I'm sure they paid for it.
I'm
but
sure.
They were able to get it back. But it's on almost every night, and I actually got my HBO Max just because of that. I like to watch Friends over and over and over again. But I had to look at it yesterday, and I went, this is really the only thing I'm watching on HBO because, again, this is like if the hackers are listening, Bill Maher, you can get it on YouTube the next day.
Right, it's going to be there.
It's like, and it's free YouTube. I don't know how YouTube TV is doing because so much of what you would get on channels on YouTube TV it's on YouTube within a couple of days.
And they've raised the prices so much since they started up a couple of years ago. It is probably double, if not more, compared to what it was started.
I mean, it was like, so we're really learning what we can do without as far as TV goes. And since my husband's become a teenager and watching reels all the time, I got a 71-year-old teenager living in my house who was saying, hey, look at this, animals walking over optical illusion rugs. And it was crazy. So anyway, we got a lot of things going on. You can join us on the phones at 770-535-2911. Yeah, we get a little bit off on the culture stuff every now and then because you know what? A real conversation happens in the way a real conversation happens. And we love being here in this studio right on the square because especially today, I don't know if it's because it's close to Christmas, we're getting a lot of people walk by and wave. So when you walk by our studio downtown in Gainesville, wave at us. We want to see you. We'll be back.
Give something for Christmas that will last for generations to come. Give a one-of-a-kind jewelry piece from Gainesville Jewelry. Phil Forrester has put together his most beautiful collection yet. Diamond earrings in every style from studs to 6 carats, along with diamond bracelets and natural gemstones in every color. Plus, hundreds of unique estate pieces personally selected by Phil and Emily Forrester. Best of all, prices start at just $69. Give your special someone something special from Gainesville Jewelry, 1020 Jesse Jewell Parkway, open late Christmas Eve.
So Pure Talk is offering unlimited talk, text, and data on a crazy fast 5G network for just $29.95 a month for life. Not your phone's life, your life. This top-tier plan is normally $65 a month, but if you switch today, you'll save over 50% every month for the rest of your life. You might say it's the deal of your lifetime. Dial pound 250, say micro, offer ends 12/14. Some restrictions apply. Details at puretalk.com.
This is the time of the year most of us are checking off our holiday gift list. Identity thieves have lists too, and your personal information might be on that list. Protect your identity with LifeLock. LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points every single second and alerts you to the threats you could miss yourself. If your identity is stolen, your own U.S.-based restoration specialist is going to work to fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Make this season about joy, not identity theft, with LifeLock. Save up to 40% off your first year at LifeLock.com with the promo code BECK. Terms apply.
WDUN is looking for the next Clark Griswold. Upload a picture of your outdoor Christmas light display at accesswdun.com. You could win a large turtle box, a stay at Lanier Islands Resort, or a downtown merchant's gift card. So light up North Georgia with Jackson EMC and North Georgia's News Talk. WDUN Gainesville, WDUN FM Clarksville, Gainesville. Always here, always local.
It's 10:30.
Fox News, I'm CJ Papa, saving you money, part of the broader message tonight from President Trump, who's trying to turn around the polls, showing he isn't doing a great job with the economy.
Bigger paychecks and lower prices for the American people.
White House Press Secretary Caroline Levine on Fox and Friends. Day one of the final Federal Reserve meeting for 2025. It ends tomorrow with a decision on interest rates. Many experts believe another quarter-point cut is on the way. Job growth stronger than expected in October. That from the job openings and labor turnover survey reporting nearly 7.7 million jobs available. Ukraine's President Zelensky says Ukraine, Europe are ready to present a peace plan to the U.S. And this press hearing for alleged assassin Luigi Mangione resumes today in Manhattan. His attorneys trying to keep some evidence out of his upcoming trial for the murder of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. America's listening to Fox News.
Always here, always local.
WDUN. From the Access WDUN Hardy Chevrolet Newsroom, I'm Steve Winslow, and it may be another month or more before a proposed data center in Hall County comes to a vote with commissioners. Project Turbo is looking to build a 900,000 square foot facility on 119 acres on O'Kelly Road off of Candler Road, south of Gainesville. Hall planning commissioners have recommended approval with 10 conditions, and it was set to be voted on this Thursday. However, District 3 Commissioner Greg Poole says he wants more time for commissioners to learn more about data centers.
Those conditions they got, they don't even know what they're talking about. Those conditions are bogus because we don't even know what we're talking about yet.
Poole says that he plans to motion Thursday to table the vote on the proposal into January. The alleged Appalachia High School shooter has a court hearing scheduled for today. More from GNN's Rebecca Hughes.
Barrow County teenager Colt Gray, accused of the deadliest school shooting in Georgia history, is set to appear in court today. Gray, who was 14 at the time of the December 2024 shooting at Appalachia High School, faces 55 charges, including murder and aggravated assault. Fox 5 Atlanta reports prosecutors seek to try him as an adult for the attack that left 2 students and 2 teachers dead.
And the dust has settled from the celebrations for the annual Christmas on Green Street parade and festivities, and now the awards and accolades have been announced from Sunday's participants. A full view of the winners list and a link to the photos can be found with more news at Access WDUN. Now here's your Access WDUN forecast.
North Georgia, we've got some clouds, but we will see partial clearing into the afternoon. Highs in the mid-40s, partly cloudy skies as we head into this evening and overnight. Low 30s by early Wednesday. From the Access WDUN Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Holly Strano.
In Commerce, 38 degrees. In Baldwin, 36. And in Gainesville, 37. From North Georgia's News Talk, AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
Get ready to sparkle at Gainesville's newest holiday celebration. The entire family will be dazzled at Gainesville Glow's Lanterns and Lights, the Atlanta Botanical Garden Gainesville's light show extravaganza. Stroll through a woodland wonderland of colorful trees, glowing displays, and an amphitheater of choreographed light and sound. Roast some s'mores, sip some cocoa, take those selfies, and best of all, make new memories. Get tickets for select nights November 20th through January 4th at atlantavg.org.
Christmas is a season of giving. This is Mike Cormier, General Manager of Hardy Chevrolet. I know that giving is a challenge this year. That is why it's more important than ever. Hardy Chevrolet is a drop-off location for the Marine Corps Reserve's Toys for Tots program. Please come by and drop off a new unwrapped toy. With the help of local community agencies and churches, Marines will distribute them to needy children throughout our area. Help make this a Merry Christmas for all. And I'd like to extend best wishes of the season from all of us at Hardy Chevrolet, Brownsbridge Road in Gainesville.
It's the Martha Zoller Show, presented by Gainesville Mechanical, from the Northeast Georgia Health System studio in downtown Gainesville on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
So we can push Gavin Newsom to veto 715. So if you're willing, so this is a long way of me introducing you to a thing you can do right now. Go to tinyurl.com/veto 715. tinyurl.com/veto 715. That's it. And you can sign that petition to veto AB 715. That petition was generated by...
It is the Martha Zoller Show. So that is a California State University professor that is encouraging her students in class to sign a petition urging Gavin Newsom to veto a bill aimed at preventing anti-Semitism in K through 12 schools. So joining me right now is Michael Levine. And Michael, you sent me that pitch about talking about America's universities. And then I saw this audio this morning, and I thought that's a perfect intro because American universities used to be the best in the world. Everybody, and I think in many ways in the sciences and things like that, they still are. But there are so many universities that have lost their way, and we're seeing it evidenced in the fact that universities in the Southeastern Conference and other areas that are more like state universities have doubled and tripled their applications because parents want their kids to go to a university where they're going to stand up for the right thing and teach their children how to think, not teach their children what to think.
Well, I agree with everything you've said, only I think that you're probably understated. You said that many universities have problems today. I don't believe that to be the case, Martha. I think most, virtually all, and the worst of the worst of the worst, unfortunately, tragically, depressingly, are the elite universities. So, if you think sending your child to a 4-year university is not going to be an exercise in indoctrination, I think you're just unrealistic. Universities today, and the worst of the worst of the worst are the elites, have absolutely changed their mission from teaching you how to think into what to think. It's happened over a long period of time, meaning over a decade. Most people in America were
I tell you what, Michael, we're going to have to put you on hold because we're getting a lot of static on your line. So we're going to try to get that straightened out, and then we'll get you back in. It is always something that we have to care about. And I think our children need to have the best education they can get. On Tuesday, I'm going to go to the graduation of my son-in-law. He had gotten a degree, back when everybody gets a degree, but he wanted to decide to do something different. And so he's gone back to school. And most of what he got, computer science, was something that I think, or computer engineering, was something that, can't be injected with woke or any of that kind of stuff. But you can see some things out there that people are dealing with. Okay, so we've got Michael back. Great. Wonderful, Michael. Thank you. We got that all straightened out. So let's rewind a little bit and talk a little bit about the point about American universities.
Well, as I indicated, I agree with almost everything you said, except I think you're too kind. You're too gentle. No, I mean this. You said many universities in America have gone from education to indoctrination. I don't agree with that in the least. I think it's not many. It's most. It's virtually all. And the worst of the worst of the worst of the worst are the elite universities. If you send your child today to Harvard, to Yale, to Columbia, you are sending them to a extremely expensive indoctrination factory, if you will, elite factory, but that isn't only elite universities, and it's happening not only in universities, it's happening in high schools, it's happening even in elementary schools. It has been going on for over a decade, well over a decade. It has happened right in front of our eyes, but we chose not to see it. We chose not to believe it. And now the cancer, a cancer starts in stages, right? You have a stage 1, a stage 2, a stage 3, a stage 4. At stage 4, you're pretty well untreatable. Okay? Dear friend, we are now in a stage 4 cancer in elite universities and in many, many other educational areas of this country. It is tragic. It is frightening in the extreme. And what you played, which most people will listen to and say, that's one crazy teacher. No, it's not. It's an entire system. Nothing will happen to that teacher. That teacher will not be fired. That teacher will not be reprimanded. That teacher will be given a raise next year. And that's where we are, friends.
So what do you think will change it?
Well, it is going to take a massive revolt. And it is going to take a massive and prolonged revolt. So you might say, well, okay, was Donald Trump the revolt you're speaking of? And I'd say, well, it might well be a start, but it will have to go on. If a problem has been coagulating for 10, 15 years, the solution will likely have to go on for 10 or 15 years. It can't be, this is not a 4-year problem. We can't solve this in 4 years. This is going to be a prolonged and radical effort to get us back even to normalcy.
Well, and I think it's going to be a combination of some of the things you've talked about, but also there is such a rise in young people deciding, especially young men, deciding not to go to college. They're going to technical school, they're going to other places, and they're learning, careers that they can just get out and work. And I think that it's going to have to be a re-education of parents too, because, I'm as guilty as anybody else. I wanted all my kids to go to college. Okay.
Of course.
That's what, and I'm making
that's
sure.
That's what good parents wanted.
That's right. Right.
That is no longer the case. Also, the internet is going to change education. You're going to be, if you go, by the way, if you go to Hillsborough, if you go to many websites, you can get an outstanding education for free online. It's remarkable what can be obtained. The ability to self-educate today, if someone has the discipline and the will, is remarkable. By the way, as this indoctrination is going on, test scores are going down. It's not as if the indoctrination is leading to a better academic result. It's leading to a worse academic result.
No, you're absolutely right about that. And it's funny, I'm taking a class on C.S. Lewis and a class on Jane Austen from Hillsdale. And I love being able to do that, but I'm a lifelong learner geek.
Martha,
love that.
may I say something?
Sure.
Friend, I'm going to speak to your audience, if I may.
Sure.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you are a parent of a Jewish child or have concern about the survival of Judaism in America, if you send your child to an elite university like Harvard, Columbia, Yale, I'm naming names, right? You're out of your mind. You are sending them, you might as well give them cyanide to their religious and moral life. the anti-Semitism, you saw the grades I sent you yesterday. 14 universities in America, most of them elite, F.
Yeah, I mean, this is always the beginning. You think about the cultures throughout history that have tried to either have pogroms to get rid of the Jews or driven Jews out or were actual Nazis instead of what, the left calls everybody. It doesn't end well for those societies. Okay, now I can't think of a single one that is not open and welcoming to Jews and other religions, that it works out well for them. That never works out well.
And I would further say, Martha, with the greatest respect to your audience, you'll make your own decisions in your own way. Stop donating to these universities, particularly the elite ones. If you are giving money to Yale or Harvard or Columbia or Penn or please stop. You are funding a kind of intellectual and moral terrorism. I don't know how to be any more clear to you.
Absolutely. Michael Levine, thanks for being with us today. Hope
Thanks.
you have a wonderful holiday season, and we'll talk in a couple of weeks.
Thanks, friend.
Thank you. We'll take a break.
It's the news that affects you and the talk that keeps you listening.
We'll continue on with additional discussions today as we stay engaged.
North Georgia's News Talk, AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
At Jackson EMC, innovation is an ongoing cycle, a process without a beginning or an end, where one idea leads to the next. Solar power, electric vehicle programs, energy-efficient right choice homes, automated switch technology. What we do as an industry is vital. We keep communities powered, so we must always have an eye on the future. Jackson EMC, innovation for today, innovation for tomorrow.
Whether it's a slip that ends in a slip disc, a trick knee that's holding you back, or shoulder pain hurting your game, you can count on Northside Hospital Orthopedics. With leading care in Georgia at convenient locations all across the state, we're here to get you back on your feet, no matter what comes your way. Because Georgia moves us, and we keep Georgia moving. Find a provider near you at northside.com/ortho. That's northside.com/ORTHO.
What if my parents suddenly need help? This is Kevin Tharp, elder law and estate planning attorney, and I've helped many people in your situation. With sound advice and planning, there's no reason why you can't help your loved ones as they need extended care late in life. It's up to you, however, to make the first call. Visit my website at kevintharp.com and learn how to get help planning for your family's future.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. Maybe you haven't heard about us. We're not one of the big guys. Truth is, we don't want to be. If you're over 50, Big Wireless has you paying for more data than you might need. Why? They might want you to cover the costs of younger people who do use all that data. If you're not using the data, you're probably being used. We've heard time and time again that some Big Wireless customers get stuck paying hundreds and even thousands more for years and years because they think it's hard to switch. Not with us. It takes just about 20 minutes and you can change your plan anytime without extra charges. We use the same towers as the big guys, so you'll get the same fast nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill.
Our plans start at just $20 a month. And for a limited time, switch and get your second month free. Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit consumercellular.com or a store near you and get your second month free today. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional details.
Always here, always local.
From the Access WDUN Hardy Chevrolet newsroom, police have now identified 2 people shot and killed in Gwinnett County late last week. Details at Access WDUN and coming up on North Georgia's News Talk.
Use the Access WDUN talk and text line, presented by M&R Rental at 770-535-2911, and be part of the conversation. From the Northeast Georgia Health System studio in downtown Gainesville, it's the Martha Zoller Show on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
When I think of Georgia and I think of a team taking on the personality of their coach, it's this one. If you go into that building in March, July, or December, it's 4th and 1 in that building every day, and that's not for everybody. They played like it last night. This team is an ascending football team. They're physical, they run it, they play great defense, they win the time of possession. He's winning games exactly the way he wants to win games. This is one of the best teams in the country, and it's not by accident, but this is a Kirby Smart-led football team, and everything he preaches, physicality, all the things you got to do to win, we saw that in the SEC championship game last night.
It is the Martha Zoller Show. We'll talk a little bit of sports because it's that time of year, but we want to go to the phone at 770-535-2911. Let's talk to Robert in Gainesville. Hey, Robert, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Thank you, Martha. I was going to comment on the hypocrisy of the Democrats calling President Trump and the military murderers because they killed those people that are driving the drug boats. But the real question is, who's the murderer? I mean, they're driving those boats and delivering lethal drugs. But anyway, I really wanted to quickly talk about Mr. Levine that was just on your program. I think he was very correct. I appreciate what he said. The main problem is that, the word is pragmatic. I tried going to college myself, and I just gave up because it was so dull and pragmatic. Everybody was trying to get a job. There was nothing beautiful or inspiring about the knowledge. So I just, like you, I decided to choose my own curriculum. And I love to read and write and all that, just like everybody else that's interested in the truth. But the problem with the big elites is that they're just so in love with technology and knowledge, but they don't care about God. They don't mention God. There's nothing about it. And they despise Jewish because they have the Judeo-Christian ethic. That's the hidden secret of the story, is that the reason there's so much anti-Semitism is because they don't care about God. The modern world wants technology and enjoy it, but don't stop the question. That's why we're in the problem where we are now in the world. There's just no people sitting on the fence about Trump's policies. What more do they need? They know that the fentanyl's killing people, and yet they get all upset because they hurt the guys that are
but the polling shows that the bombing of the fentanyl boats is very popular. The bombing of Iran's nuclear facility was very popular. The deal he got in Israel and Gaza. Now look, but supporting the president doesn't mean you have to agree with everything he does.
Exactly.
Okay?
I agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, and I really would like to see between now and next November more of the guy we've seen in the last few days where he's been funny and effacing, and didn't mean he didn't push back. Like he pushed back against Politico about how they've been covering him, but he does it in that more engaging way rather than name calling. And I think if he does that, will be great. But you know what? He's done a fantastic job. He's done everything he promised to do. I mean, do I agree with everything he does or how he does it? No, I don't.
It would go a lot faster if people would quit impeding him by vacillating in their opinions and get on board. I mean, we could do this quickly, but that's why it's dragging on so long. So many people are just sitting back and waiting and looking, and they don't have the courage of their like him. They don't have the courage of their convictions.
Thanks for your call today. Appreciate it very much. So, Logan, Derek Dooley made a pretty good statement about what Notre Dame did yesterday. We played it on the show. He's written an op-ed now that's out on a number of outlets about this. Basically what he said, but in a little more expanded form. I read as much as I could about what Notre Dame did, and first of all, what bothers me about it more than the fact they decide not to play a bowl game, I did some quick searches. That doesn't happen very often. For somebody to decide not to play a bowl game. It's happened a couple of times, but usually it's because of maybe injuries or whatever it happened. But it's so out of character for Notre Dame and the kind of school they are and how this Marcus Freeman has led this team. You got to wonder if he reacted in anger and now he's sorry about it. I mean, I don't care that much about it, except that it bothers me because it's out of character for that team.
I'm about to say, Notre Dame is, kind of its own class in terms of college football royalty. You don't even have to follow college football, but Notre Dame. Touchdown Jesus. You know everything about that program, the gold helmet, so on and so forth. But it doesn't, like I said, it feels very uncharacteristic that they are kind of just taking their ball and going home and not even opting in to play in a bowl game, which, like I said, Marcus Freeman, I think, has done a great job with the program. He's turned him around. He's done a tremendous job, but I don't know
if... he's got great character.
He's got a great head on his shoulders, exactly. And I don't know, this kind of feels to me, and I think a lot of people out there, that this is more of kind of an athletic director, more people in the office as opposed to on the field who made this ultimate decision for them not to play in a bowl game.
Well, and for me as a Georgia fan, it does remind me of, what was it, 2 years ago? I think it was 2 years ago that we should have been. We were number one all season. We got knocked out in the SEC. Or was that last year? I've forgotten. It's been a long year. But it was recently, and we ended up playing the other team that felt like they were wronged, Florida State.
Yep.
And we, as Derek Dooley said, we knocked the doors off of them, and we showed that we probably should have been in the playoffs. I don't care if it's 4 teams, 8 teams, 12 teams, 64 teams. I guarantee you in March Madness, there are teams that complain that they didn't get into the playoffs when just about every team gets into the playoffs.
I was about to say, college football is such a wild west because of just the sheer amount of Division I schools you have. You have all of the, the Group of 5 conferences and the American and the Midwest and all the other ones that no one really ever talks about. But like I said, they're in the top 12 because you have to include them.
I learned, I didn't even know there was a James Madison University. What?
I'm about to say, a lot of people are learning about this. And, Tulane, I mean, it's just because they're not, in the echelon of, we think, of the SEC, the ACC, but they still are, great, credible colleges with good football programs, but there is really no right way. I mean, college football's had this issue forever now.
Well, and I don't want to get my hopes up, but I feel like we're peaking. Georgia's peaking at the right time. In other seasons when we've gotten in the playoffs, we had already peaked.
Right.
And we had been I feel like we've gotten better every week. And maybe that's just me because I'm a fan. Maybe I'm not objective, but it feels that way to me.
And we always talk about it here on the show, and that it's all around Kirby Smart and how he's able to rally the troops, and whatever he's saying in the locker room, it's clear, and it has been really since he took over the program 10 years ago, that the players listen to him and they believe everything he's saying. They say, hey, guys, if you work hard, if you keep your head down, if you keep, grind day in, day out, then we can, go to the college football playoffs. We can go to the national championship game. And I mean, after the game against Alabama, Kirby said in the post game, he said, I've got guys here who want to go practice after this, who want to go back on the field and get back to work. And that's a winning mentality that you don't get from a lot of great teams.
And he has been able to navigate. Not that he does not have to deal with the transfer portal at all, but he has been able to navigate this weird world we're in, where he has been able to create a program that young people will stay in even if they don't get to play right off the bat. Now, not every player. Some people leave. I don't know why, but they do. But it doesn't seem to be as big an issue as it is with some other teams, and I'm happy about that. So, great show today. Thank you so much for being with me today. I love the diversity of topics, and we're going to keep talking with you throughout the day because we are always here, always local.
The views expressed on the